Hi. This is more of a generic question actually, and it was briefly brought up. I think as a young office, how do you navigate the idea of scale in two aspects? One is the size of your firm. So as a young office, you're constantly scaling up, but probably at some point you're like, that's it. I'm not hiring anymore, and we're going to make do with what we have. But that decision probably implicates your kind of projects that you can take on. You might have to say no to a lot of projects, and that might affect the kind of work that you do. So how do you deal with that? And second is the scale of the projects that you take on. Like, can an office with say 6 people effectively work on a say multi-story housing development than an office with say 30 people?
So I think scale isn't that much of an issue. I think it's the amount of work any given project requires and the amount of other work that the office has ongoing. So again, it comes down to how much you can really take on. But I don't think the scale of the project matters to what the office can or cannot take on. It's really the amount of work that the scale would bring in. In terms of scaling up the number of people in the office, I personally am, like you, a little bit of a control freak. So it's hard. I mean, I haven't come to the point where I can just let go I can't just trust anybody to take on. I need to see everything. So that becomes challenging in terms of how many more people you can hire, because at the end of the day, you still have 24 hours a day. So how many people can you then manage? So I guess it becomes, that's the juggle about as to how many people you have in the office. But I don't think the scale of the project matters. It's the amount of work it brings.
Yeah, scale is not an issue. Especially with the team that I can speak for our office, with the team that we have right now. Everybody works on different category of projects. So there's not, if there's somebody working on interiors, they're also working on a landscape project simultaneously. So in that sense, we try to spread the work around the office, and they see that project through till it finishes. So like I said in the beginning, it's about identifying people who can take up that kind of responsibility and then kind of see it through. So I think it's more about getting the right people, hiring the right people at the end of the day.
Maybe we just haven't
No, but actually, just to go to scale, if you think about an apartment building, it's actually, many times a large house will actually be more labor intensive than an apartment building, because it's very, very specific, where in larger projects you actually have a lot more repetition. So I very much agree with Shruti in terms of it's not the scale of the project, it's overall workload, right? Because you have to be able to navigate between multiple scales, you have to be able to staff properly, and that is directly tied to the scale of the office. And so I think that every office has to make a decision in terms of how big they want to get, and after a certain point, you could keep on growing, right? Like I think when you basically become a number, like then it doesn't matter if you have 20 people, if you have 50 people. But I think that the smaller offices, it's a little bit more about these kind of fine balance between who's doing what and how much work you have.